How do you like the songbook? It's quite handy, isn't it?
Yes.
It's good to have these all songs in all one place. May we start with singing from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11. It will be found on page 230. Taking up text number 23 on page 332. Rupam mahate bahuvakranetram mahabahuvahuvahayam bahudaram bahudam shravanam Krishna loka prakriti hastatamam Navashvisham pitam anekavardam Yakatmanam Chitta Vishalanekram Trishvahitvam Prajatutam Taratma Vritim Navindami Shamam Vishnu Tamstrakarani Chate Mukhani Trishva Prasida Devesha Chakannivasa Ami Chatvam Dartarashtrasya Putra Sarve Sahaiva Manipala Sangai Bhishmo Drona Suta Putrastatasau Sahasmadhiyar Apiyoda Mukyai Bhaktrani te twaramana vashanti Dramshra karalani bayanakani Kechit vilagna dashanantareshu Samdrishyante churnitar utamangai Yata nadinam bahavam bhuvega Samudrameva bimukha dravanti Tatatavami naralokavira Vishanti vaktrana bidranti Yata pradiptam jwalanam pratanga Vishanti nashaya samrida vega Tataiva nashaya vishanti lokas Tavapi vaktrani samriddha vega Leli yasekra samana samantal Lokan samagran vadaner jaladvi Tejo bir apurya jagat samagram Basastavogra pratipanti Vishnu Akya himeko bhavan ugra rupo Namostute Deva Vara Prasida. Vignatum Ischami Bhavantamadhyam. Nate Prajanami Tava Prapritim. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kalosmi Loka Shayakrit Pravriddho. Lokan Samadhartamiha Pravrita. Rite Pitvam Na Bhavishanti Sarve. Yevastita Pratyanikeshu Yodha. Asmatvam Utish Yasholabhasva. Jitva Shatrum Punkshva Rajam Samridam. Mayae Vaite Nihata Purvameva. Nimitta Matram Bhavasavya Sachin. Dronau Cha Bhishmam Cha Jayadratam Cha. Karnam Tatanyam Api Yoda Viran. Maya Hatam Stvam Jahima Vyatishta. Yudyasva Jetasirane Sapatnan. Sanjaya Uvacha. Etat Shrutva Vachanam Keshavasya. Kritanjalerve Panmana Kiriti. Matskritva Bhuya Ivaha Kritsnam. Sagadgadam Pita Pita Pranamya. Arjuna Uvacha. Stane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya. Jagat Pravrishyat Yanurajyate Cha. Rakshamsi Bitani Dishodravanti. Sarve Namasyanti Chasita Sangha. Kasmachatena Namarandamatman. Gariyase Brahmanyopyadi Kartre. Ananta Devesha Jagannivasa. Tamaksharam Sarasatatparam Yat. Tam Adi Deva Purusha Puranas. Tam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam. Etasi Vejam Chaparam Chadama. Tvaya Tatam Vishwam Anantarupa. Vayuryamognir Varuna Shashanka. Prajapatistam Pratita Mahascha. Namo Namaste Stu Sahasra Kritva. Punascha Bhuyopi Namo Namaste. Nama Purastat Ataprashrataste. Namostute Sarvata Eva Sarva. Ananta Virya Mita Vikramastram. Sarvam Samapnoshi Tatopsi Sarva. Saketi Matvam Prasabham Yaduktam. Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava, Hey Saketi. Ajanatam Mahimanam Tavedam. Maya Pramadat Pranayena Vapi. Yachchavahasartamasat kritosi. Vihara shayasana bhojaneshu. Ekotavapi chutatat samaksham. Tatshamaye tvam maham aprameyam. Pitasi lokasya characharasya. Tam asya pujascha gurur gariyan. Natvat samostyabyadika kutonyo. Lokatrayet pratitavava. Tasmat pranamya pratidaya kayam. Prasadaye tvam maham ishamijam. Piteva putrasya sakeva sakyu. Priya priya yarhasi deva shodhum. Adrishta purvam rishitosmi drishtva. Vayena cha pravdyatitam manome.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichami tvam drashtumaham tataiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Prasannena Tavarjunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yoga Tejo Mayam Vishwamanantamadyam Yanme Tvad Anyena Nadrishta Purvan Navedya Yajna Dananer Nadaner Na chakriya bir no tapo bir ugrai evam rupam shakya aham triloke drashtum tvad anyena kuru pravirya matevyata macha vimuda bhavo drishtva rupam godamidrin mamedam vyapeta bipritamana punastvam Tadeva me rupamidam prapashya Sanjaya uvacha Ityarjunam vasudevas tatoktva Swakam rupam darshayam asa bhuya Ashvasayam asa chabhita enam Budva puna saumya vapur mahatma Arjunu vacha Drishtvedam manusham rupam Tava saumyam janardana Idanim asmi sambritta Sacheta prakritim gataha Shri Bhagavanu vacha Sudurdarshanamidam rupam Drishtavan asiyan mama Deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kankshina naham vedarna tapasa nadanena nachejaya shakya evam vido drashtum drishtavan asimam yata bhaktya tvananyaya shakya Aham evam vidorjuna yatum drashtum chatatvena praveshtum cha purantapa mat karma krinma paramo mad bhakta sangavarjitaha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasamam eti pandava Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Shubhanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambade Vishwarup Darshan Yogo Nama Ikadasho Dhyayaha Hari Om. Could you pass these out to anybody who wants them? Over the next couple of evenings, we'll take some reflections since today and tomorrow tonight and tomorrow evening are our last evenings in Jagannath Puri. And in case you don't know, after that, we're flying to Vrindavan. Just saying. So every night, if you have some ideas, thoughts, you don't have to take part if you don't want to. You can always participate in person. But if you want to write it down, that's nice too. And because we've been making progress in the first canto, 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam, I had planned to read to you tonight, and still do, from the first canto, 5th chapter. There's no harm in it in any case. And we ended up at text number 14. We completed all the way through 13. I first offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to all the previous acharyas and to the assembled devotees. Panchakalpatarusha kripa sindhubhi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. It's very possible that there will come a time this evening when somebody's going to say, please move up. And if you do it preemptively, we may not hear those words uttered this evening. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 14, this is 1-5-14 for those who are following along. Tatonyata kinchana yad vavakshata pratagdrashas tat krita rupa namapi nakari chit kwapi jadushtita matir labheta vata hatanar ivaspadam. All to the synonyms so we can get a deeper idea of this verse. Tata. If you want, you can repeat after I say them. From that. Anyata. Apart. Kinchana. Something. Yet. Whatsoever. Vavakshata. So the first line says, Tatonyata kinchana yet vavakshata. Kinchana, as we know from our familiarity with the word akinchana, which means not something. Kinchana means something. And we have here a categorical statement that anything or something, anything that is apart. And then we have pritag, separately. Drisha, vision, so separate vision. If we see something different, it means. Or if we see something that's apart, Vavakshita. I'm sorry. Tatkrita. Reaction to that. Rupa, form, namapi, by names, nakarichit, never, kwapi, any, cha, and dushtita, mati, oscillating mind, labheta, gains, vata ahata, troubled by the wind, now, boat, iva, like, aspadam, place. So, as we'll see from the translation, that Narada speaking to Vyasadeva in the context of him being critical of what he's written so far in the way of the Puranas, the Itihasas, is saying that if you describe something or anything that you discuss or see differently from the Lord, will cause a reaction. And then he gives the metaphor of a boat that's agitated, and the boat has no resting place. It just gets blown everywhere. Whatever you desire, I'll say, and then please repeat. Whatever you desire to describe, that is separate in vision from the Lord, simply reacts with different forms and names to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. We'll say it in unison, observing any commas. There's only one. So take a deep breath. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, Result. Forms and names. Does yours say results? Oh, sorry, mine doesn't have that. Names. To agitate the mind, as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Any immediate reaction to the verse or the word for word? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The one that caught my attention is this dusthita mati, the oscillating mind. I was just relating this to the chanting of the japa. When you're chanting, sometimes the mind oscillates between something else and then have to pull it back to the Maha Mantra. So this process goes back and forth. So I was just
Yeah, and sthita means, we know from discussions over the last week or so about, it's a cognate with stand in English. And you have no standing. Dushtita, you have no set place to be. Dushtamati, the mind has everywhere to go and nowhere to stand. Yes, Lokaram Prabhu, Hare Krishna. It's become very still in here.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This verse is reminding me of a news article I came across the other day about a family, a mother and her kids. They were doing some paddle boarding off the coast of an Australian beach, and they went a little too far out, and they lost their paddle, their oars or whatever. And so within a short time, they had gotten just drifted further and further out from the shore. And the mother had to have her teenage son swim all the way back to shore and get help. And finally he was able to do it and they got rescued. But it's just helpful for me to have a kind of image in my mind of the verse and this specific scenario, because I've lived a life in suburbs of the United States. So a lot of the analogies in the Bhagavatam, it's hard for me to directly relate to my actual experience. But it is a very scary situation to be drifting in a boat on a big body of water. So you just read it and it doesn't sound that bad. Oh, you're just being tossed around, but you're in the boat. But it's actually a very dangerous situation.
That's such a nice point, to not skip over the analogies, or if there's an idiom somewhere, it's always nice to go within it and kind of see what's happening. I had an experience on the Ganga where we were filming, I think, and so we would float in the middle. And it's hard to tell how fast you're floating, too, because there's a bridge down a little past that area where devotees generally take bath. It's pretty far down there. But although I felt like I wasn't moving, at intervals we had to fire up the engine and go back up the river because it was a lot faster than we thought. Farther away you get from the bank, the less perspective you have of how fast you're moving. But when you mentioned being there, I could, without any way of any propulsion or way to direct oneself, it's being carried along. And then it reminded me of the ways Arjuna observes in the 11th canto about how time is so insidious, it drags us away, and there's no direction for us. So it is really scary. In fact, there's a cliche in America about being up a creek without a paddle, because apparently it's happened before. Yeah. I've always found this a useful verse for focusing, because pratakdushast tatkrita rupanabhibi, anything you desire to describe, if it's separate from the vision of the Lord, simply acts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind. And you can just keep that in mind, that if it doesn't connect, if you don't know how to connect it somehow, don't say it, because it's going to have a bad result. Here, I'll read the purport. Sri Vyasadeva is the editor of all descriptions of the Vedic literatures, and thus he has described transcendental realization in different ways, namely by fruit of activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and devotional service. Besides that, in his various Puranas, he has recommended the worship of so many demigods in different forms and names. The result is that people in general are puzzled. The result is that people in general are puzzled how to fix their minds in the service of the Lord. They are always disturbed about finding the real path of self-realization. Srila Naradadev is stressing this particular defect in the Vedic literatures compiled by Vyasadeva. And thus he is trying to emphasize describing everything in relation with the Supreme Lord and no one else. In fact, there is nothing existent except the Lord. The Lord is manifested in different expansions. He is the root of the complete tree. He is the stomach of the complete body. Pouring water on the root is the right process to water the tree, as much as feeding the stomach supplies energy to all parts of the body. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva should not have compiled any Purana other than the Bhagavata Purana, because a slight deviation from that may create havoc for self-realization. If a slight deviation can create such havoc, then what to speak of deliberate expansion of the ideas separate from the absolute truth, personality of Godhead? The most effective part of worshiping demigods is that it creates a definite conception of pantheism, ending disastrously in many religious sects, detrimental to the progress of the principles of the Bhagavatam, which alone can give the accurate direction for self-realization in eternal relation with the personality of Godhead by devotional service in transcendental love. The example of the boat disturbed by whirling wind is suitable in this respect. The diverted mind of the pantheist can never reach the perfection of self-realization due to the disturbed condition of the selection of objects. Due to the disturbed condition of selection of objects. I'm going to read a few more just to get in the flow of hearing Prabhupada's voice. Jagupsitam dharma kirtenu shashata sabhava raktasya mahan vyatikrama yadakyato dharma iti tarastato namanyate tasya nivaranam janaha. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instructions, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vyasadev's compilation of different Vedic literatures on the basis of regulated performances of fruit of activities as depicted in the Mahabharata and other literature is condemned herewith by Srila Narada. The human beings, by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. They have no sense of the responsibility of human life. This human form of life is a chance to get out of the clutches of illusory matter. The Vedas are meant for going back home, back to Godhead, to revolve in the cycle of transmigration in a series of lives numbering 8,400,000 is an imprisoned life for the condemned conditioned souls. The human form of life is a chance to get out of this imprisoned life, and as such, the only occupation of the human being is to reestablish his lost relationship with God. Under the circumstances, one should never be encouraged in making a plan for sense enjoyment in the name of religious functions. Such diversion of the human energy results in a misguided civilization. Srila Vyasadeva is the authority in Vedic explanations in the Mahabharata, etc., and his encouragement in sense enjoyment in some form or other is a great barrier for spiritual advancement, because the people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which hold them in material bondage. At a certain stage of human civilization, when such material activities in the name of religion, as sacrificing animals in the name of yajna, were too much rampant, the Lord incarnated himself as Buddha and decried the authority of the Vedas in order to stop animal sacrifice in the name of religion. This was foreseen by Narada, and therefore he condemned such literatures. The flesh-eaters still continue to perform animal sacrifice before some demigod or goddess in the name of religion, because in some of the Vedic literature such regulated sacrifices are recommended. They are so recommended to discourage flesh-eating, but gradually the purpose of such religious activities is forgotten and the slaughterhouse becomes prominent. This is because foolish materialistic men do not care to listen to others who are actually in a position to explain the Vedic rites. In the Vedas, it is distinctly said that the perfection of life is never to be attained either by voluminous work or by accumulation of wealth or even by increasing the population. But it is so attained only by renunciation. The materialistic men do not care to listen to such injunctions. According to them, the so-called renounced order of life is meant for those who are unable to earn their livelihood because of some corporeal defects, or for persons who have failed to achieve prosperity in family life. In histories like the Mahabharata, of course, there are topics on transcendental subjects along with material topics. The Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. The whole idea of the Mahabharata culminates in the ultimate instructions of the Bhagavad Gita that one should relinquish all other engagements and should engage oneself solely and fully in surrendering unto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. But men with materialistic tendencies are more attracted to the politics, economics, and philanthropic activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than to the principal topic, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narada, who advises him to directly proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto him without delay. A patient suffering from a particular type of malady is almost always inclined to accept eatables, which are forbidden for him. The expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially what he should not take at all. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, for gradually he may be elevated to the position of self-realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without spiritual realization. But those who are in the devotional line should never be so advised. So if you're on the plane somewhere and someone asks you what you do, just say, I'm in the devotional line. I tell people to surrender to Krishna. That's my job. I'm going to read one more because we're in the flow. Vakshakshano syarhati veditum bibhor ananta parasya nivrittita sukham pravartamanasya guneranatmanas tato bhavan darshaya cheshtitum vibho. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality retired from the activities of material happiness deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated. Sorry, I'm going to start over because I ruined the beat. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated, due to material attachment, should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada. Theological science is a difficult subject, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. Only the very expert who have almost retired from material activities by culture of spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person deserves to enter into transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendentally realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science, specifically dealing with God as a person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. Vyasadeva is himself a personality expert in this science, and he is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it. And Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman as medicinal doses. Because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. The literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord. Thereby, they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of a particular time and circumstance. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the expert devotees can find out competent means to inject it into the dull brains of the materialistic population. Such transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realization. You want to make a few reflections or questions? Yes.
In this purport, it says like how out of 1,000 people, only one enter into the science, and out of that only one understood the personal God. But in the next line he says that Srila Vyasadeva is therefore advised by another to describe the science of God directly by relating. So, but it's sometimes we think that it should be opposite. If more people can understand something, we should tell in that language than directly as a God. So if you have any comment on that.
What was the last statement you made? And I couldn't understand the premise.
So premise was in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person deserved to enter into transcendental realization.
Yeah.
And out of many thousands of such transcendently realized person, only a few can understand the theological science.
Okay, that's in the Gita, that's established.
Yeah, it's basically dealing with God as a person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. So that statement I could not like, if only few people can understand.
Well, there's not much time, people get caught up. The main point here is when Srila Vyasadeva gave this indirect way of attracting people, that they gravitated towards the exceptions and didn't get to the point. And he's advising him that the medicinal dose is to give him direct access to understanding the personality of God. It's an interesting conundrum because people in general, especially materialistic societies, are averse to the idea that God's a person. They've talked themselves out of it. And for generations, there's an idea of a personal God. But there's a problem with it because there hasn't been enough clarity about who the personality is. There's other processes or schools of worship in which God's considered a person, but there's no real information about the person himself. Those in that line generally obfuscate when it comes to describing the person, saying he's undescribable, or we mustn't try to describe the name of God because either the name, that's also there, or the form, because we'll profane that image or the name itself, even by saying it. And therefore, people have been deprived of having a way to fix their minds on the ultimate object of meditation. Because he's not there. There's a sense God's a person, but then there's nobody to meditate on. And therefore, people eventually gravitate towards the forms of the material world. So, Yene ravindaksha vamuktamaninas tvayasta bhavat avashudha bhutaya aruya krishna parampadam tata patantyato nadrita yushmadangraya. Demigods praying to Lord Krishna in the womb say, unless one is able to realize the lotus-eyed Lord, means it's personal, then whatever imagined form of liberation they attain, they're going to fall down from it. So, minus the form of the Lord, the name of the Lord, for instance, we have Panchratrik Vidhi, so that we can attend to the form of the Lord. And that's necessary, along with chanting the holy name. We advocate for not just chanting the name of the Lord, but also hearing about Krishna and attending the form of the Lord. When you see the deity, you're seeing the transcendental form of the Lord directly. The Archa form is all-merciful. It's a description Prabhupada gives in the Bhagavatam about how one who's able to behold the Archa form of the Lord sees all the different incarnations. They're all there within the Archa form. And people don't get that. Like the Prabhupada pointed out about the Arya Samaj, how they say, well, God's everywhere. And then Prabhupada said, well, why not go in the temple then? They avoid that. And through empiric science, or scientism, dedication to the idea of only understanding things empirically, people become cynical about anything that's beyond their limited way of measuring things, and so they don't get the opportunity to hear about the Lord directly. Have anybody had the experience, if you're presenting a talk to a group that's not oriented towards Krishna consciousness? There's nobody there that's been to a temple or knows about deity worship, has any context for that. And how much consideration you have to put into that talk if your goal is to present the personality of God. How much context you have to build before you can actually utter those words. Or if you're writing a paper, you have to think about it 10, 20, 30 times just to get it right, to lead up to it and say, yeah, he's a person. That's where the proverbial rubber meets the road. Because before that, I mean, everyone's talking about Read Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. He's a pantheist, and he talks about God this, God that. And there are many like that are famous in the world, and Prabhupada criticized them because they never actually said a name of God or indicated a form. They just said they have love for God in a general sense and wouldn't name him. Even Yogi Bhajan in that epic conversation Prabhupada had with him, where Yogi Bhajan came to invite Prabhupada to a program which would be full of representative spiritualists from around the world. 99.9% of them Mayavadis, except for Prabhupada. And in the very beginning, Prabhupada, when he heard who was coming, and Yogi Bhajan said, we'll come together, we'll be together, we'll merge together. And he meant not merged like homogeneously, like an impersonal realization, but in the context you can understand he meant that we'll come to a common understanding. And Prabhupada said, they will never. And there was a secretary there who was with Yogi Bhajan and said, you can write it in your book. And during that long conversation, you should listen to it because it's indicative of the Prabhupada's expertise and process for bringing somebody who's a spiritualist but then is stubborn about giving into anything specific. It's maddening, actually. But you hear Prabhupada, he's so expert. He's like a wrestler or a boxer who knows all the moves. And he'll seize on a point and then hold the person to that. As Yogi Bhajan, trying to be conciliatory at one point, says in the Granth Sahib, there is a name of Govinda. And he said, okay, you should take it. And then Yogi tried to move on. And said, no, Govinda, you should take it. And he said, no, but there's so many conceptions. He said, what's your conception? Well, you can't say because then take ours. Because we do have a conception. And already it's in yours, Govinda, so take it. And so that's the problem. This is one of the points here, is people want to move away from the point. Most of the world's become cynical because of so many nondescript or amorphous philosophies that never quite come to the point. And therefore we have Vitaraga by Akrodha. Don't get me started on this one again. Akrodha, there's a kind of epistemic collapse in which people say, there is no epistemology, there's no way of knowing anything. This happened in human society again and again, cyclically, because we can't trust any authority, there's no way of describing God, so anybody who talks about God must just be a fanatic, and that there's nothing stable about faith. And so Narada is pointing out that, no, you should use your expertise to build a context and give it to them straight. Because if they don't get that, they're going to be in the same maelstrom that they've been in since the beginning of time and not coming to the point that God's a person. There is an ultimate object of meditation. Subhadra and then Ram Roy.
Hello. Many years ago, I saw M. Scott Peck. He wrote The Road Less Traveled on Oprah Winfrey show, and he was talking about how important it was for people to take thinking as an activity and to sit and think sometimes and pray to God. And Oprah said something like, "You mean the universe, right?" And M. Scott Peck said, "No, God is a person." And she was, anyway, it was just like that. I appreciated that.
Yeah, Krishna talks about that in the Gita. Jnana yajnena chapnyanye yajanto mamupasite ekatvena pritaktvena bahuta vishvato mukham. He's describing people's capacity to understand and worship God. The natural tendency to worship God is there already, because that's the nature of the soul. And in the grossest form, people direct their attention, Prabhupada talks about, to powerful men. Like he talks about in one of his purports that people worshipped Hitler. He said even modern politicians, some people, I've seen it, they'll set up an altar and they'll do puja. And essentially it's the kind of worship that people do anyway when they go after a figure like a musician or a poet. It's a natural tendency. There's Bob Dylan who was singing all these songs that you couldn't really figure out. Get sick, get well, hang around an inkwell. And then people were writing down all the words, and this means this, and they interviewed him. He said, it doesn't mean anything, I just made it up. Sorry if there's any Bob Dylan followers in here. It's an offense. And so then he talks about pious people. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasa artarti jnani cha bharatarshava. 4 kinds of pious people worship. One's in need of money, those who are in distress, those who are inquisitive, and those who are in knowledge of the absolute truth. And then he gives this other category, jnana yajnana chapyanye yajanto mamupasi. Those who, that's why I thought of the universe one, that's in there. Krishna mentions it. Those who worship me as the universal form. So I pray to God I prayed to the universe for a car. That's a California thing. Yeah, I got a red Subaru, man. How'd you get it? I prayed to the universe. And then he said, those who worship themselves as God. And he said, at least they have some idea of God, but it's misdirected. So bringing back to the point, like Scott Peck, he's a person. And then could he defend that? That's the other part of it. Because whatever happens, yes, go ahead. Hold on, because everyone online can't hear you.
I just remembered what Oprah replied. She said, well, that's true when someone's in trouble or in the foxholes. They don't say, call out to the universe. They say, Jesus.
Yeah, well, and when there is a disaster, then everyone gets on some talk show and says, why do bad things happen to good people? And there's not many people that have a sophisticated answer for it. And so I'm getting to the point, that's why people have this epistemic collapse, because there's a way in which they become frustrated by hearing half-baked answers to really important questions. It seems like God's a monster because of the material world's full of atrocities and suffering and bitterness and so forth, and he's a person, so he's the triple O God. He's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. No, that's omnipotent. No, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. No, and omnipotent. I had it right, omnipotent. So then whose fault is it? Who can explain that? So it's incomplete. Because of all that incompleteness, people become cynical, and there is a whole movement towards science because, well, at least science learned how to put the stripes in toothpaste. You didn't have that back in the religious days. It's a joke because I remember my godbrother Ruchi, when we were in the airports, the most common thing we heard from people when we were distributing books as kids out there, he'd say, why don't you get a job? And Ruchi said, yeah, I get a job putting the stripes in toothpaste. That'd be really helpful. Who is next? Yes. No. Wait. You're next, Ramroy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just wanted to highlight the second, or the latter part of the second paragraph, which I can't remember how many times I would quote it in a class I would give. And I try to memorize the whole thing. The subsequent devotees of the Lord showed expert dexterity in this regard, et cetera, et cetera. It's such a...
Hold that a little closer, that mic, yeah.
It's such a championship presentation by Srila Prabhupada for Yukta Vairagya, and shows how he is the Maha General leading the way, clearing the path for everyone to dovetail and utilize everything in Krishna consciousness. It's such an inspirational purport. I just wanted to say that. Didn't want to.
I relish you relishing Prabhupada's purports, because you do it all the time. You've got many of them memorized in your head, and you say them with such relish. It's a pleasure. Hare Krishna. Okay, you're next, and then Bali.
Hare Krishna. I was just thinking in text 14 how Prabhupada wrote in the purport that Srila Vyasadeva shouldn't have written any Puranas other than this Purana. And that would have made our 100K Bhagavatam goal achieving so much easier. No contest with Shiv Puran, Dev Puran or anything. But I was also considering that nothing happens without Lord's sanction. So definitely everything was still approved. And is it more because living entities are in different modes of nature and the different presentation of the truth in an evolutionary way helps them progress than just one absolute truth?
Yes, that's the idea behind, as Prabhupada puts it, and others have said, the Puranas are divided into 3 categories: ignorance, passion, and goodness. And what's more, there's a way in which various rituals in the Vedic process are there to build faith. Because if somebody performs some ritual, even if it's killing an animal, devoting themselves to some particular demigod, then at least they start some process. And they'll think, well, better I follow this regulated system rather than it just being on my own. That is the idea that Narada is railing against, actually, because that's what Vyasadev's done. It's a huge project for all of human society to rein everybody in, to bring them into a position where they can elevate themselves. But we can also think of the Srimad Bhagavatam in that same way. In fact, as one of the ideas I've been thinking about a lot lately is how the Bhagavatam does that, because it gives us scenarios that will purify the reader in whatever mode of nature the person's in. Have you ever considered why it is there are topics, for instance, in the 9th canto about human sacrifice? Did you know did you read the 9th canto or skip over it? And so, what's that doing in there, as an example? And just incidentally, I thought it was a humorous anecdote, because I one time picked up His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj at the airport in San Francisco, and I was asking him how his last visit was where he came from in Los Angeles, and he told me about how he had been preaching in Southern California, and there were a group of people who were from upper crust of society, and they were following him around, listening to his lectures, and he told them he was going to give a class in Los Angeles. And he got there about 5 minutes before the class started, and he sat down, they gave him the book, and it was the section in the 9th canto that I'm talking about. And all of that audience came in. They were hardly oriented to Krishna consciousness, but then he was faced with explaining that. And one of the points is the Bhagavatam takes us through, as Prabhupada says, the first 9 cantos, of all the combinations and permutations of psychological conundrums that the living entity experiences in the material world, and allows us to vicariously become purified by listening to the stories, because their ultimate conclusion is to take shelter of Krishna. So you could argue that the Bhagavatam does that, and it's not necessary for such a roundabout way. And that's really the argument that Narada is making in this point. Bali is next.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I think it was very nice purport you read. I have 2 questions, one from the morning. I will ask the first. Let me start with this one. As Rupa Goswami mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Smriti Smriti Purana, the Pancharitrika Vidivina, Ekantika Harir Bhakti, Utpada Vakalpate. And in Padma Purana you see Shruti Sastra Ninda. So here, Narad Muni directly attacking, why the heck you wrote all these things? So how do we really draw a line of what is a Shruti Shastra Ninda? Because sometimes when you go for preaching, book distribution in Bhagavatam, and people have different faith of different scriptures in their house, right? There are various Puran, there are various from Indian traditions. So we have to give due importance to Bhagavatam and glorify. Sometimes they apparently saying, oh, you are criticizing our faith or something like that. So we are not at the positions as Narad Muni, but how do we really reconcile that what is exactly Shruti Shastra Ninda when you are glorifying Bhagavatam or devaluing any existing Puranas? So could you give some examples so that we don't cross the mark that people think that we are criticizing or we are doing Shruti Shastra Nindra, but at the same time we are maintaining our status quo of Bhagavatam culture?
Have you ever been in that situation when somebody said, oh, I read such and such a book?
Yeah, means, oh, I have Vedas, Rig Veda and things.
And what do you say to them?
Well, I said, Veda, how do you decode it? Means you may chant it, but in order to learn more details, just like I read a purport, one particular sloka, then you get to know more details, insight in the modern views. So I was trying to give, Rig Veda has some compilation of, he has 325 plus slokas. So I was trying to give that how Bhagavatam is more important for this age of Kali.
What a great answer.
So
that's good direction you give people, to gently bring them along and say what you said. What you have here is very nice, and here's something that's pursuant to that, and it'll give you more details about what you're already reading. I like that a lot. I would go with that. Thank you. And you had...
We are chanting this bhajan, right, the Kodanitai. There is a section, it says that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we get 3 people get commissions. I get commission and I don't know. So could you explain, I didn't get it, what is the commissions they get it?
It's like the World Sankirtan newsletter. I noticed people really care about the points. What do they get? It's really about how everybody involved is benefited by the process. It's all auspicious. It reminds me of Vasudeva Kata Prashna Purusham Strin Punatihi Vaktaram Prachakam Shrotrims Tatpada Salilam Yata. You know that verse from 10th canto? Oh, you guys know the verse. From the 10th canto, in which it says that when Bhagavatam is spoken, 3 kinds of people get benefited. The speaker gets the most benefit. This is from the commentary. You know that. Then the listener gets the second most amount of benefit. But they both benefit. One needs the other, too. And then the third, it says, who else gets Vasudeva Katha Prashna Purusham Strin Punatihi. 3 people become Punatihi. They're purified. Vaktaram Prachakam Shrotrims. The speaker, the questioner, and everybody else in between. Hearing about it, they get purified, just like the Ganges purifies the whole world, right? So there's that, and just everybody involved. Like in criminal law, there are certain levels of punishment for people, and so if somebody is they have drugs, illegal drugs, non-scheduled drugs, then if they're caught with them, nowadays it's not a heavy fine, unless you're in a Muslim country, probably, or bring it in the airport. They probably just let you go. Or at most it's like a misdemeanor or something. But if your house is full of the stuff, in neat packages, tons of it, and you get caught, it's you're going to jail. You're implicated. And so if you're a distributor of love of God, and you keep the product on hand and store it in your garage in your house, and then you make plans to distribute to everybody, then you also get credit for distributing it. And it's not said in a fruitive way, it's said in a way to appreciate how everybody gets benefited by the process of being involved in distributing the love of God. I mean, there's a great yes. Did I skip somebody? Pavani Bhakti, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gurudev, for the class. I personally wanted to, first of all, thank Ram Rai Prabhu for his presence in this yatra. I have been personally very inspired by his earth-shaking kirtans that he does at the Harinams. And I was very also touched by his reflection the other day where he was appreciating Prabhupada for the compassion he has shown to the Western world. Especially he was talking about not everybody's so open and compassionate, especially in the Orthodox side, where there is a lot of possessiveness about the knowledge. Especially in terms of the reading for Narada, that Narada is advising to Vyas that devotional service is topmost. My question is for Western audience, when is a good time to introduce Bhagavatam? Especially Prabhupada did it so directly. Why are we not able to do it? At least like I am not able to do it. What is the, can you guide on that?
Well, in a general sense, Bhagavatam means what we're talking about, which is bringing people to the conclusion of God as a person. And we remember, you and I and others who were there, in our journey of presenting Krishna consciousness to new people over the last 5-6 years at least. But there was a specific time that was memorable, which I'll mention in this context, which was we developed a 32-week progressive teaching about Krishna consciousness for people who were new to the context. And as we went along, we noticed more and more that people were able to listen to it, hear it, and we became more and more bold as far as presenting. And by about week 30, we had a presentation about deity worship. And we were very nervous. And it was on a Zoom call because a lot of this started right at the very beginning of the pandemic. And I can remember that night because we were watching everybody intently to see their faces. As the video was playing, we could also see their faces in the Zoom. And then you had chosen to show them the Maha Abhishek in Mayapur for Panchadava. You remember that? Subhadra was there. She's always there. And so after we have the video, then we break into little rooms to discuss with people. And there's a devotee in each one of the Zoom rooms to talk to people about, to guide them. And actually we have them guide themselves, but somebody's in the room just to make sure questions get answered. They're not demonstratively there as an authority. But after the experience, after we broke into rooms, at least the room I was in, it was about 7 people. People going, oh, why didn't somebody tell me God was a person? You mean you could do that and, you could actually worship God in a personal form? I mean, I wish I knew that before. The reaction was very different from what we had thought it might be. And the answer is we don't really know when the right time is. it's hard to tell. I mean, if Vyasadeva couldn't tell, we're still trying to get the water at the right level. And you know, sometimes you turn it a little too high and it's like, hey, how come those 3 people just walked out? So we're always trying to push it in that direction. It is usually a wise thing to curate what you're presenting progressively and try to not lead with your chin. You know what that means? In boxing, if you stick your chin out, somebody's going to knock you out. So they say don't lead with your chin because then, bang, try to keep your chin down here. And so, not that I can box, so please don't challenge me. So we have to be thoughtful of what people can handle. And talking to Kashtuba Prabhu about wisdom of the sages, you know, he got inspired about reading Bhagavatam to people, yet he reads ahead and sees, you know, what can they handle, which parts will they be able to assimilate. And there is a certain time at which you do notice that people have enough grounding in Krishna consciousness. Part of it is trusting those who are presenting it and seeing that these people are real. They live real lives. They're sincere, and they're somebody I can trust. You know, that's a bridge that helps people, because even if there's difficult concepts that they come across, then they have somebody they can process it with. And so that's also a sign that they can take more. And then we find also there's times at which people demand more. We've seen also that devotees hold back, and then people is like, all right. We had this program called Krishna Life. It was actually our brand. And we started doing, it was the sequence was too long, but we had once a month where we'd invite people from, what's that program called where you invite people? Meetup.com. And people would come over and we do a very light presentation, to say the least. It was way too light. And there were these 2 ladies. After they had been coming for a few months, maybe more, they finally showed up, and they had neck beads and stuff. They said, "We found your temple." You've been holding back on us. So sometimes people push forward and they like, give us the straight thing. And devotees are really, you know, taking something off the pitch so that they're being too careful. So that's the life of one who's teaching Bhagavatam, constantly trying to interpret, you know, what's the best way that I can give this so that people can accept it and not out of hand reject it and not also hold back too long until it's too late and they miss the point. So you're doing great. Keep going. Okay, I see a little hand back there. Raise your hand.
So when I'm sometimes naughty, will Krishna still be happy?
Well, trying to make eye contact with your dad there, see what I should say. Well, Krishna was naughty, wasn't he? Krishna was naughty, and Krishna's always within our hearts and sees what we're doing, and he sees what our intention is. So if you steal some butter or something, and you remember Krishna, I think it'll work out all right. What does your father think? Any observation?
I don't know what to say.
I know, it's a little disarming. Yes, Lokaram Prabhu, he has several kids.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Krishna's always happy with you, but he's more happy when you listen to your mom and dad. Hare Krishna.
Especially your mom and dad. I mean, Prahlad didn't listen to his dad. But when you have devotee parents, it's a really good idea to listen. All right, we'll have a little kirtan, and then we're going to have some reflections, because tonight and tomorrow are last nights, and what we like to do is to have some time to hear from devotees anything you're taking away from the yatra, and especially the place. Some of you are coming on to Vrindavan, others are leaving. I've been a little morose today, because just thinking about not seeing some of you soon is it's bittersweet. So if you have some thoughts and you want to write them down, or if you just want to raise your hands. There's a lot of us here, so we're not going to be able to get to everybody. We've tried that before, and it's exhausting. So we'll just go with the flow and take a few and discuss them and not get too caught up. But probably best if you try to be concise, keep it to just a short paragraph. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Medium. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, once again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Just this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Bali, Indonesia. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Finish. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai. Let's get started with some realizations, reflections. short paragraph, 3 sentences, one out of the 15, 35 that you have. Sukada Devi, please start. Very honored to have you here, by the way. She's a venerable devotee of the Krishna consciousness movement. She and her husband served with distinction for many, many years. And we're really delighted that you come. It's such a rarity to have time with God's siblings, and really appreciate you coming.
Hare Krishna. I would just like to say that I always feel so enthused being around the younger generations and seeing how advanced they are. And I learned so much from their association. And I haven't met everyone here, but they all offered such nice respect and smiles and just loving exchanges. And I just love hearing all the wonderful realizations when you ask questions and their hands are being raised and they're giving you responses. It's so enlivening for me to hear this, and it makes me feel that ISKCON is in good hands in the future. So.
There you go. Okay, who else? Okay, how should we do this? Shankari Kaur had her hand up first, and we do have instant replay, so I can be censured later.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So on Monday, on 2 occasions, we heard you say that this material world is a lost case. And there's nothing really to look forward here. No hopes are going to materialize here. And that's really a very despondent statement, that really we are just stuck. Unless you said, unless. And there comes the hope. The positivity is now coming up. And you said that every paraphernalia can be used for the service of Krishna, and we can use all our limbs in service to Krishna because it is designed to pray. It is designed for prayer. And then you shared the story of that beggar who followed Krishna Sakha Prabhu all the way, and at the end of it got a very hefty donation. So I was just thinking that, and as your god brother said that, you know, I just pay my taxes the first thing in the morning. So I was just thinking that if diligently we also continue to pay our taxes, the returns will definitely come. As you said, Krishna will probably flick a big donation towards us too. So that's the hope that I diligently pray to start my day with and end my day with, so that I can continue to pay my taxes to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Nicely done. Very nice. Okay, can pass it back. I have a new system. You fight it out amongst yourselves.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When we were reading the purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam a couple of days ago, this line stuck out to me. We're going to read it all. That we know that our honest attempt to present this great literature, moving on, is fraught with many difficulties. Our presenting this matter in an adequate language, especially a foreign language, will certainly fail, despite our honest attempt to present it in the proper way. But we are sure with all our faults in this connection, the seriousness of the subject matter will be taken into consideration. So this really, really spoke to me because, first of all, I was just thinking about Srila Prabhupada's, his humility. Throughout, he's always become so humble, yet we know what greatness he has given us and the world. And then, for me, this verse spoke to me because I kept thinking, I'm presenting this great literature when I'm asking people to take it. And although I don't speak Hindi, so for me, it's also a foreign language. But I kept thinking, I'll also have that mood of that the seriousness of the matter and the specialty of this Scripture will speak for itself. And that gave me courage, a lot of courage. And I kept thinking, if Srila Prabhupada can do it, I can do this little bit. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Nicely done.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
I just want to mention that we've done these types of sessions. Once we did it without clapping, and everyone said, no, it's better with clapping. Because we want to say something, this is condensed nectar coming back from the devotees who are digesting everything and putting it back out in such a way that we feel fortified by the realizations. So no harm after everybody speaks and just letting out your appreciation through a round of applause. Some people have said, not to go on too much about this, but it's a thing, that you can't clap. But there's a specific reference to it in the Krishna book during the wrestling arena pastime. We found it where Prabhupada even writes that they had applauded at a certain time, clapping their hands. And so it's okay. Okay, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. So, couple of realizations very quickly, if I may. In the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Bhajan Kote, there was a construction going on in between two temples. Most probably they are developing one temple. But I was actually looking at it, and I saw the base is so deep, but I don't think that height will be more than the two temples at the both sides, which is not more than probably 2 floors. So that made me, realize that we need to make, I need to make my own life conducive to sadhana in a way that it is so strong. Because you also that they spoke about how we need to make everything surrounding us more conducive so that we can carry on with our sadhana. And watching that base, how they're making and how deep it is, really it made me realize that I need to be really making everything, every little thing conducive to my sadhana. And another is always this Brahmana's wife come in the picture when you say, like in today's talk as well in the morning. And I got a very good example when I was distributing book in the bus stop. At the very end, actually, there was this whole bus full of people, they arrived. And they started just getting off. And so I approached, and men were so busy with just unloading their luggages from the top of the bus. But I still approached and started handing out the lollipops and stickers. And the men just said, just go off because we are busy with the luggages. But one of the women, she came forward and took the sticker and lollipop, and I then gave her Bhagavad Gita. And she was so happy. But then obviously her husband was like looking at her like, what are you doing now? We are really busy in taking these luggages off. And then she asked me how much it is, and I usually don't want to speak, pretend that as if I don't understand them, though I understood what she's saying, and I just made a gesture like anything. So she actually, that made her so happy, and she said just anything, and then she took out some money she had, and then she herself realized that what she is taking is not, the worth is a lot more than what she has. So she looked at her couple of notes, and then she opened her luggage, and at that point her husband was like really with big eyes, like, what are you doing? And then she took out this purse, little purse full of notes, and I realized, like, I looked at them, and I looked at her, and she probably just a housewife, so that probably her whole month's allowances, and she took out so much of those notes and gave me a handful of such nice donation for one Bhagavad Gita. And I thought that's such a good example of how Brahmanas' wives actually.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Rakam Sakam, 1, 2.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I knew I was. Can you hear me? So this is going to take a bit of time. So the I wrote it, still I can't read it. As this yatra comes to an end, I keep coming back to the pastime you shared yesterday about Sri Gadadhar Pandit. The image of him bound by his Kshetra Sannyas vows, yet unable to stop his feet from following Mahaprabhu. I can't shake it. Because right now, that's exactly how I feel. I have my life waiting for me back in the States. My responsibility, my routines, my feet have to go back. But something in me doesn't want to. I keep thinking of those lines. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, dhai taba pache pache. Krishna is yours, Guru Maharaj. Krishna is yours. You can give Krishna, and that is why I run after you. And that's all this is, Guru Maharaj. That's the only honest explanation I have for why living feels the way it does. When you thanked my mother yesterday for cooking, I didn't know what to say, but I want to be careful here because I don't want it to sound like rehearsed humility. It's not. It's genuinely disorienting. We're not people who deserve that acknowledgement, and yet that's almost the point. Your willingness to accept something from us, that's what makes it mean anything at all. You didn't need any of our service. You took it anyway. And I think about Nityananda Prabhu, we can only begin to grasp the depth of his mercy when we look at who he chose to extend it to, Jagai and Madai, the most fallen. And that's how his greatness becomes visible, not through who he rejected, but through who he didn't. I feel something similar when I think about you accepting our service. Your magnanimity isn't revealed by what you receive from qualified devotees. It's revealed by what you're willing to receive from someone like us, like me. And I also wanted to correct something I said last year during our realization. I talked about coming to Yatra is like recharging my battery, and I've been thinking about how wrong that framing was. I'm not a battery that runs low and needs topping up. I'm more like a laptop with a completely dead battery. The kind that shuts off the moment you unplug it. It's not about recharging, it's about staying connected. The moment I'm away from your presence and your instructions, I start to drift. And that's just the truth. And honestly, this is where I have to be real with myself. I'm in a software field. When I need to judge how bad a piece of code is, I first have to know what good code actually looks like. The standard reveals the gap. And I think that's what this feeling is doing to me right now. This pull I feel toward your physical presence, it's not just emotion. It's a diagnosis. It's telling me exactly how weak my connection to your Vani still is. If I had truly internalized your instruction, the distance wouldn't feel like this. Srila Prabhupada said the spiritual master lives forever through his instructions. Vani over Vapu. I know this and I have heard it many times. But knowing it and actually living it are two different things. The truth is I still need the room, the proximity, the real-time presence, because I haven't built that inner ear yet. And that's why I'm actually bringing home with me. Going home always feel like, stepping into a different clock entirely, mechanical, scheduled, relentless. And every time I think about that, something a young devotee said during an initiation at Vrindakund a few years back during Yatra, right after taking his vows, he said, "Let me never take this opportunity for granted." It stayed with me then, and it stays with me now, and that's my prayer too. I don't want this to become just a trip I look back on warmly and then file away. I don't want to take this proximity for granted, not while I have it, and not when I'm far from it. My daughter has this game she plays. She puts her hand to her ear like a phone and says, "Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Baba is being naughty." She's 6-year-old and she already sees it, the gap between whom I'm trying to be and who I actually am day to day. I wish I could find it as funny as she does. Mostly it just makes me want to do better. Please don't let the miles become a kind of distance in my heart. That's the only thing I'm really afraid of. Hare Krishna.
So yesterday, some of us went to the Sakshi Gopal temple, and the pujari was quite kind to us. They had shown us the darshan before some of the more shringar would be put on, and then they closed to do some of the dressing, and we started chanting prayers, and then there were a lot of other things that happened. But the last prayer we chanted was the Sri Isha Upanishad, and this time the darshan was closed. And I was just thinking, the whole point of the Sakshi Gopal pastime is that Krishna bowed down to the words of his devotees. And we're about to sing the Isha Upanishad prayer. So it'd be really cool if at the 15th verse, Hiranmayana Patrena, the doors open and Krishna reveals his form. And we started chanting, reciting, and at verse 13, the pujari starts moving the door. At verse 14, he goes away. I was like, it's not going to happen. And then right when we see Hiranyamena Patrena, the doors open up. And so we know that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal, and his reciprocation with devotees is always there, and that memory will always stay with me.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This morning in Japa session, I think this morning you mentioned that make Japa great again, and again means every day. I really touched by that point, and also you mentioned fad is gradual, and that reminds me in a real estate investment is called death by 1,000 cuts. So same can happen on the quality of the chanting. It's one day, one thing, one excuse, but it could really gradually fad can happen. Really nice point. Thank you, Maharaj.
One, two, three. One,
Hare
two,
Krishna,
three.
Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much for organizing such nice yatra. And I came to this yatra after 10 years.
Wow.
And it was really amazing. And the best part I like is the book distribution. Always here, as you say, fun and easy in Dham. And it's really fun and easy. People are so nicely reciprocative to the scriptures. They are even, I met one old lady in front of her home. She was just standing. And she immediately took the book, and her son was stopping, no. But she went inside the home and got some dakshina, 20 rupees or so. And then she asked me that, please pray for me that Jagannath will take me as soon as possible. So, the humility really touched my heart, even though she's staying in front of the Jagannath temple in the Dham, but she's still asking me, to pray. And another pujari, when yesterday we were on Harinam in front of the temple, the pujari was in front of the gate, and he was asking for Srimad Bhagavatam. He has only up to 10th canto and wanted 11th and 12th. He said, I got only up to 10th canto in Bhubaneswar temple. I went 2 or 3 times, but they didn't have it. So could you please send it to me, only 2 cantos? So, even the pujari, I asked, are you reading? He said, yeah, I have already completed up until 8th canto. So please send me as soon as possible. And, that was so nicely. Normally, the media propagates too much about Jagannath Puri temple staff and ISKCON, but seeing him, the real, genuine person who has the love for the Srimad Bhagavatam and, getting Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam, which is all the nice purports and all, so that really touched my heart. And the third thing is about the cooperation and the flawless organization here in the Yatra. And it's because of your leadership, we always emphasize about cooperation. We are one team. And how I can prove that today my housekeeping staff, when they came in, they were asked, because they're Odia and I talk, they really like it. So they were asking, where do we live? And I said, we live in America. I said, oh, you have a big ashram there and all of you live together? I said, no, we all have our own houses. And, it's not just America. It is from all over the world. People are here. And she was really amazed to know that. She said, really? I thought we all of us thought that you stay in one mutt. Like in Puri, they have mutt. So, and you come here every year for the yatra. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such nice.
Last 2, because we're out of time. 1, 2. And tomorrow, will you be here? Okay. Kameshwari is up next. And then Gopal, and then we'll start over tomorrow. Murta.
Hare Krishna. I was reflecting on what we were reading about in Bhagavatam. It was saying, okay, now I don't remember, but about being on the spiritual path. And it reminded me of, like, if you divert from the spiritual path, you immediately get a reaction or something happens and you think about what happened. And it just reminds you about karma and all these things. Yeah.
Yeah, that verse that we talked about whatever you desire to describe, which is separate and vision from the Lord, simply reacts with different names, forms, and results to agitate the mind like a boat on water agitated by the wind, right? Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Nice.
Puri Yatra 26. Mridanga on shoulder, books in hand, Pandas look angry, stares and glance. No sound system or cartels to bang. Time to do it, clap your hands. Books are flying, people dance. Lord Jagannath's mercy, lollipops, prasadam, selfies with books in hand. I could do this all day, where's the time? So happy we can please the pilgrims. Hey, that's a panda with Prabhupada's book in hand.
Haribo. I like that. That's nice. Oh. Now I'm kicking myself. We should have started earlier. To those of you who are leaving tomorrow, we're going to really miss you. It's just such an intense time when we're together here in the Dham, isn't it? And it's just practically unthinkable to look up and then see, one of the yatris is gone. Anyway, it's a good feeling to know that we like it. And to those of you who are leaving tomorrow, we look forward to seeing you soon, somewhere. We're deeply grateful for you coming. And now we have some really powerful katha coming up from Shraddha Devi Dasi about flights and how to catch your flight. Shraddha, are you ready? Or Divyanam, did you have something ready? Shraddha's here, and she wants to tell you about how to catch your flight. And to those of you who are coming to Vrindavan, we'll just keep it going. It'll be different because we're in slightly different climes and residences and so forth. But everything else will be the same. We're going to keep the transcendental vibration going. And we'll keep the books flowing. And then there's next year's yatra too. Shraddha, many of the devotees in there, or several tonight, because we had a short session, had mentioned how well organized the yatra is. So I'd like to give you a special recognition for how hard you work to make sure that everything's facilitated. And noteworthy is that you attend to every detail more than anybody I know. And maybe I already mentioned the pen, but it's the emblem of your expertise. Because for me, a pen's a pen, except as long as it's a Pentel. But she had to get the Pentel, which is unprintable, and I don't know, she contacted the CEOs of the companies and woke them up in the middle of the night and made sure they had it and in a color and of the. So I'm just giving this as an example of what she does in every aspect of the yatra. She digs way deeper than anyone could have ever imagined, and thank you very much for your dedication. And now all your flights have been canceled.
That's scary. All right, so I have no idea where the time went by. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one more day, and then we are off to Vrindavan. So thank you so much for participating in the yatra. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the Krishna Katha today and throughout. A few things I just wanted to mention, and one of them is that you were saying that we will continue to do book distribution in Vrindavan, and actually the team wants to continue to do books distribution in Puri itself. And tonight there is a Harinam as well as a book distribution planned. And so if you're interested, then you can assemble after dinner at 7:45 in the front of the hotel. And we're going to go to the Singhdwar, which is the western gate. So feel free to jump on an auto and go there and help us out there. I also wanted to mention that for those of you who are joining us for phase 2 of the yatra as well, your airline tickets have arrived. So, once you are having the dinner there, do come by and pick up your tickets from here. If you need any weighing machines that you forgot to bring, we can, arrange one for you because there's a limit to how much you can carry on a domestic flight. If you go over, you can purchase extra luggage right at the airport itself, or you can bug Manoranjan to do that for you, like that. Also, Anand Vrindavan Mataji, she was at the Jagannath temple. Where did she go? I was watching her there. Oh, here you are. Yeah. So she was at the Jagannath temple, and she brought flowers and tulsi, which are used on the headgear for Jagannath. So I'm looking for a volunteer who can help distribute that during the prasadam time. Anybody who wants to do that? All right, Kushal, thank you so much for that. I have also, in our process of trying to improve our services to you, and there's like I mentioned day one, there's a big team that helps. Some are here, some are working behind the teams, but we'll really like to improve our services to you. So I have posted the feedback form on our Yatra WhatsApp group. So do take a few minutes and do, give your feedback while it's still fresh in your minds, like that. There. Then Khaja has arrived. And so Prem Nishtha, are you here? There she is right at the back. So she mentioned to remind you about 2 things. One is that do bring your Lakshmi for Khaja, and do collect it today itself, right? Because tomorrow is going to be a hectic day for all of us. For those of us who are continuing on to Vrindavan, just giving you a reminder that there is monkey menace there in Vrindavan, so just be careful. Should have, if you use glasses, have an extra pair of glasses there. Be mindful, don't carry food items, and like that there. So then one more thing I just wanted to share here, and that is that this is the famous Pattachitra. Paintings in Puri. So we have arranged these paintings for each one of you. So we'll make sure that they reach you. They will look like this. So you unroll, so it doesn't take much space there. In that. And then, Maharaj, should we tell them what we won for tomorrow?
Tell us what we've won.
So tomorrow we're going to go to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya.
Haribol!
And we're also going to go to Gambhira.
Haribol!
There you go. So the program will be as usual. We'll start in the morning at 5:30 with Tulsi Puja, followed by our morning routine. We'll give you more details about that tomorrow, the precise when we leave and things like that. Any questions that you have for tomorrow? Go ahead. Awesome, I should go there. I pay at least 500 for my glasses.
Get
Yeah.
several pairs for Vrindavan.
Yeah, for those of you who could not hear that, just make sure that you carry your prescription, because then you can get your glasses made for only 800 rupees. And where is that place located? Optical Palace. Okay, all right. Just yeah, please. Thank you so much, Hadai Pran, for doing
Tell him
that.
Ranchor sent you. He'll get 20% off next time. Free Bhagavatam set. 20 minutes for 800 rupees.
There you
Why
go.
do we live in America?
Any other questions? Okay. So Maharaj, that's all for today.
Divyanam, do you have anything? He just stepped out.
Divyanam. What time are we leaving for the airport on, yeah, okay, thank you. 7 a.m., the buses are going to arrive here, and we will have prasadam packed for you, both breakfast as well as lunch. And then when we reach the Delhi or airport, we'll pick up some more dinner. And when we reach the hotel, we'll have some more dinner. And this is not only for those who are joining us for phase 2, those who are, culminating the phase 1, their yatra here, we'll pack for you. This prasadam is for everybody, yeah, irrespective. Anything else? That was a good question.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Shri Shri Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. If you so desire, please keep us always together on the pilgrimage to the heart, wherever we may go in service to Srila Prabhupada. Please inspire us through KTTVG. Keep the transcendental vibration going. And if you so desire, please bring us back to your holy Dham again and again, so we can enter more deeply within the mood of the Dham and bring it back to the West, where Prabhupada was intent on giving everyone the benediction of this holy place. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sharira Vijajal. Jodendriya Tahikal. Jibebele Vishashakare. Dharamadye Divaiti. Lobamoy Sudumati. Takijita Katina Shankshare. Krishna Bodha Doyamoy. Koribari Jiva Joy. Shaprashad Dilabai, Shayanamrita Pau, Radha Krishna Gunaga, Premedako Chaitanya Nita, Ekadina Shanti Pure, Prabhu Advaita Ragare, Dwi Prabhu Bojane Boshilo. It's in the book. Kori Ashvadana 229. Prabhu Bole Bhakta Gana. Gotta hurry though. Ashak Krishna Ashvadilo Heno Shakashvadane Krishna Prema Aise Mane Se preme koro ashvadan Jada budi pari hari Prasada bojana kori Hari hari Bolo sarva jahan Hari hari Bolo sarva jahan Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sapa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayate Prasade Sarva Dukanam Hanirasya Upajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Buddhipaya Pratistate Tayopa Bhukta Sraganda Vasulankar Charchitaha Utishta Bojino Dasas Davamayam Jahemahi Suksham Prayushi Tambapi Duratam Dadadeshata Dimatrena Bhoktavyam Nadesha Niyamastatra Nakala Niyamastatra Praptamanam Dhritam Shishte Bhoktarim Hari Abrave. Read the last one. One more for Jagannath Prasad.
Rudanti pataka sarve nishvasanti muhur muhur ha ha kritva palayanti jagannathanna bhakshana.
Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad ki, Shri Jagannath Prasad ki, Gopremanande, Nitai Gauda Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gauda Hari Bol. Please come take prashadam. Haribol. Vanjagablarusha kripasindabe vichapatitanam bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo.